Hi, I'm Jeff Gora with Threshold Academy. This is a how to pack to go fishing in either Alaska or Minnesota video for everybody who's going to go. I've laid everything out on these two benches, and I'm going to go through each item one at a time to explain what it is that I have them for. You will see some redundancy in how I pack, but for the most part it's minimalistic because we move every day, and I only want to move what I have to move each day. I don't want to move anything other than that. So let's start with my traveling clothes. All the clothes that I'm going to wear when I travel, I start with a single Ziploc. These are going to be on my trip up there and off on the trip back. I mean, not on the trip back. The items in here are almost all cotton. I have a cotton pair of pants. I wear sweatpants, a cotton t-shirt, cotton underwear, but I always travel with wool socks. Wool socks do a much better job at keeping my feet circulating the way I want them to. I take these off upon arrival and they go back in this Ziploc. They don't come back out until it's time to head back home. Going down the list of items I'm going to wear. Each day when I wake up, I will have on a pair of pants. I've picked a pair of pants that are convertible and can be made into shorts, so they unzip here in the middle. And I'll pick whether or not I need long pants or short pants based on conditions. If there's a lot of mosquitoes, as there typically are at the start and the end of the day, both in Minnesota, Canada, and in Alaska, they'll be in full pants. I also have one of two shirts I pick from during the day. I have a short sleeve t-shirt. Everybody who does the Threshold tour gets exactly one of these shirts here. Front and back, it's a comfortable tee. I'll have this on when the weather and the bugs warrant it, but for the most part I will have a long sleeve base layer. This is a synthetic blend that will still keep me warm when wet, but it's long sleeve. This will represent what I wear when it's cold. For the most part, I will not be changing during the time of our trip. I'm not going to have a need to look good for anybody, and between those three, that's going to cover nearly 100% of the conditions that I'm going to be in. And all of that goes in a single 2-gallon Ziploc. I have another Ziploc which is going to contain exactly 2 pair of underwear and 2 pair of socks. I will always have one to wear and then another one in reserve. Perhaps they're dirty, perhaps they're clean. This one a lot of people don't instruct. I wish they would. I have a pair of shorts that I sleep in and a t-shirt I sleep in. Animal events are most likely to occur at night, not during the day. And I don't want any food that I've spilled on me, any fish guts that I've spilled on me throughout the day, to be on me when I'm sleeping, because that's just bad news. It's a bear attractant. So I always have something separate that I sleep in. I carry a bandana with me on every trip. It's got so many purposes. It attaches to my belt, to my waders, something, there's just too many instances where I can use it wiping sweat, cleaning something off, drying my hands. Then I'll wear a hat with multiple sides to it. You can use a regular hat and a bandana. This is going to cover my neck from bugs as well as from sun. Both Minnesota and Alaska can have very, very long days, and sunburn is reasonable in those locations. So a hat with side protection is what I choose to wear. This will be the only item of significance that isn't going to be water protected. This is my thicker jacket. I'm going to keep this without any sort of covering, partly because it doesn't really fit. But more often than not, if the weather is really bad, I'm probably wearing this. So there'll be this and then perhaps a parka over the top of it. This is my parka. This will always be on the top of my backpack. If it starts raining, I don't want to have to dig to find it. It'll be the last thing in and the first thing out each day when I pack and unpack, respectively. Inside of a 2-gallon Ziploc, I have a down jacket, a pair of gloves, waterproof gloves, relatively waterproof, and a balaclava hat that's going to cover my face in case it gets really cold. Probably 1 out of every 2 or 3 trips it's cold enough to justify this. May need it, I may not. All right, switching off of the clothing section, here's the secondary gear that I'm going to have with me as well. In a single Ziploc, I'm going to have my electronics that I need. I read in the mornings and the evenings when I'm in the tent, and I do all of that with a Kindle. I do not trust a phone in these environments. The screen cracks too easily and the water protection stinks even on the most waterproof of cases. So I use a GoPro that's 100% waterproof, and I have a charging stick. So this will charge either of these two devices up to 2 times each. And between that, that gives me a week of quote-unquote runtime, either on my GoPro or my Kindle or both. And there'll be a single cable in here when I go as well. All my electronics are there. I have a single insulated cup. This is what I'll be eating my cereal out of, my shepherd's pie, my granola in the morning. This will represent everything except for the fish and chips when we choose to cook it that way. And then I have one of these two-sided sporks with a fork on one end and a spoon on the other. I also carry rope. It's always got multiple purposes, and for now I'm temporarily putting it inside of the cup. This is my Toiletries kit. For dramatic effect, I have one thing in here that I'm going to share with you not to bring, and that's one of these. This represents an interesting smell. Leave your deodorant at home, boys and girls. You do not need it. When it comes to brushing your teeth, keep in mind that toothpaste is an interesting smell. There have been known instances where I've worked in New Mexico where bears have actually cut into tents with the sole intention of licking toothpaste off of the person in the tent's mouth. No brushing your teeth within an hour of bedtime. That's the rule there. First thing in the morning is great. Right after dinner is great, but not before bed. I have 2 pair of footwear. I have a pair of waders, and I have a repair kit for my waders as well in case they get cut, because that's problematic. And then I have a pair of junky shoes that I'll wear when we're in camp. I also keep the box for the junky waders, for the waders, because afterwards it's reasonable that I'll try to sell them. For bug protection, I have 2 things. I have a pair of bug nets that I wear over my head. That'll come down to about here. I have one for me and one I can share, and then a container of bug spray. Any kind of bug spray that contains DEET is good. The fancy stuff with spearmint and peppermint and all things nice, you don't want that. You want some kind of DEET-based product. I have a first aid kit for everybody. This doesn't contain your prescription meds, but this is part of my duty as guide to carry a small first aid kit with us. And then the rest I have here are basically comfy stuff. I have a single pillow. Some people turn their down jacket into a pillow, but I carry a specific pillow, and I have a really nice inflatable mat that I sleep on. A good night's sleep is important to me. This is my sleeping bag, and it is wrapped inside of a protective case, but inside of this is a garbage bag, and the garbage bag is what keeps the sleeping bag itself waterproof. So this on the outside keeps the garbage bag from tearing, and the garbage bag itself keeps it waterproof. This is my equivalent of a dry bag. I have my tent right here. It's very lightweight, 1 1/4 pounds. And then I have a small portable folding chair. This is my comfy spot at the end of the day when I'm sitting around the campfire. Instead of looking for a log, I just assemble this, and this represents where I sleep. And all of that is going to go inside of this bag, and in a few moments we're going to pause before I do that. Specific to the fishing side of things, let me show everybody what I'm doing for fishing. I have a single fishing reel that I pack inside of a cloth. You could use a sock if you wanted to. This is one of the most likely items to break in transit. I have a fillet knife. I always start each trip with a brand new fillet knife. It's a cheap investment, and nothing can make the fish experience a disaster like improperly prepared fish. So a good sharp knife at the start of every trip is a must. I have a stringer. This will be for the whole group, so you guys don't need to bring a stringer if you don't want to. A single pole, which represents my carry-on. And this is my collection of everything I'm going to use to fish with. And I'm sure I will not use everything in here. I have some swivels, different kinds of spoons, and different kinds of plugs. I'm sure I will come home with at least half of this. Some of this I'm going to lose. But notice the color palettes I'm sticking with. Lots of salmon egg colored, lots of reds, and lots of flash. That's my 100% chance of success toolkit for both salmon and trout. So I'm going to take a pause right now and put everything inside the pack, and I'm going to let you see what that looks like when I'm done. Picture on me. Okay, I took a moment to pack everything. I set aside what I'm going to be wearing on the airplane, but I got everything in here that you guys saw on both of these benches. The combined weight of everything is probably 20, maybe 22 pounds. Most importantly, it's in a single bag, which makes the idea of getting it in and out of the raft super easy. And on the back side of this, I have a single hook right here. We're going to be needing to attach everything to the raft each day because we want to make sure it doesn't fly out of the raft if we have an event. So making sure you have something like this or some kind of strap that you can use to attach to the raft is pretty good. Thanks for listening.